Notebook video alert. Making a brief video to talk about the notebooks that I used and acquired on a recent trip. There's the Jot book, there's the Muji spiral, and here is the Muji kind of thingy-majiggy. Here is the diary, here is the dream diary. So I recently went on a trip and I noticed, not only did I acquire some notebooks, but I kind of developed a little bit of a notebook system while I was on the trip. So by where all of my luggage was sitting on the ground, I noticed that two piles of notebooks were getting created. This one, not staggered, was the pile of the notebook that you write in the morning and the one that you write in at night. Now that's not necessarily like a strict thing, like you could write in the dream diary later in the day and be remembering a dream from much earlier in the day. I mean, it would suffer in accuracy, but you could still write it down. I mean, there's no law against doing that. And then also, like, with a diary, you can write about yesterday the following morning. But anyway, you get the idea. This was like for the facts of life. Now here, every time I pick this up, it bugged me that there's that little bubble in the thing that I glued on there. You all received this, right? You all received the USA Philatelic magazine from USPS, right? See how in philatelic you get big pictures of all of the stamps. Now I wanted to put a stamp on the front of this, but I thought rather than waste a stamp, why don't I cut out a picture of a stamp and glue it on the front. But I created this little air bubble. Now I've decided it's not a big deal. I've decided I'm not gonna freak out about it, and the air bubble isn't really worth stressing over. I tried to like kind of rub it out weirdly, like kind of press the air bubble out, and that was bad. It just sort of smeared some of the ink on the thing around. Anyway, that's just a side thought of something I thought every time I pick this up. Every time I pick up this USA Philatelic thing, I have this other thought. That thought is, though I did purchase a sheet of 250 Years of Delivering, which is that story kind of, which is that sheet of stamps designed by Chris Ware, where it follows this mail carrier through their daily work. I was not quick enough on the draw to purchase the puzzle that they made of that stamp sheet, and I am kicking myself for not having done that. So you see, this is kind of important though. I mean, I think it's worth noting, maybe by noting kind of exercising or getting rid of these things that bother us every time we pick up something. This is not something we want to use artistically, but like, you know, this thing is important to me, and I'm sorry that I gave myself something to kind of like be annoyed by every time I pick it up. That could just be a total kind of weird neuro thing that I have that nobody else suffers from, but anyway. There was this stack for the things that have to do with life, and then there was this stack that I noticed I was staggering. This is actually the wrong order. I was staggering it like this, where this would be on top, this would be on the middle, and this would be there. The reason for this is that first I would write in this spiral bound book. This would be like start the day and write a poem. This is like a piece of kind of free writing, and this is another piece of free writing, but this is in third person, and this contains characters. These are in totally different settings and have totally different characters. This is in sort of like a Chicago-esque thing, and this is in an imaginary Japan, like everybody free writes, you know? Here's another side note. These diamond penny matches are not as good as the Cartwright strike on box matches. These you can get anywhere. These you can get at the Jenny Street. Who agrees with me on that? I think I want to try to make it a little bit cozier by lighting this candle. There you go. So this is a very poorly executed video. I didn't script this or anything. But the point here, and this is the main point of this whole video, is that this would be the one that you're supposed to spend just a little bit of, these two on top. Any notebook that isn't the last one is not the primary piece of writing. It is something that's used like as a warm-up or something to just write a couple of sentences in to kind of stay in touch with the work in progress, as a teacher of mine once put it, before you get to this thing, which once you get to it, this is what you write in for the rest of the day. Does that make sense? So there's one more physical detail to these stacks that I was making, which is that I put this pen, this Muji nice one, that's kind of finer, and it's not as quick. It's kind of slow. It has a lot of tactile feedback. You know, the Muji 0.5. You can't see what it says there. That's really annoying. Wow, that would really annoy me if I was watching this video and that wasn't focusing. Yeah, it's a 0.5. But by that stack, and then by this stack, I would put specifically not a Bic round stick, which is what I often do with this like kind of nice paper, this nice kind of creamy paper. You go over with a round stick and it's kind of nice and fast and kind of breezy. No, I would use this. I would specifically use this Papermate Write Bros 1.0. So I would set the pens for the stack of notebook by the stack of notebooks. I would go through. I'd pick this up. I would write a poem. I would either like improvise a poem based on like things that are bouncing around in the head. I would write like a little kind of I Ching-esque kind of poem that has a weird structure that's repeated. Like you take a sentence that's colloquial and you kind of fill it with different phrases, you know, like an ode in the I Ching or something like that, or just any other kind of improv, any sort of, or I'd collage even. See, there I would try a sonnet about a father and son who paint a softball. It's not really meant to be a finished poem, but you just draft something. Do an acrostic sometimes. But you use these big sheets. This was interesting because the work I was typically doing in here is what I usually do in this thing, this Leuchtturm like sage thing, which is the kind of draft a poem, you know what I mean? Just like you're moved by something, draft a poem. To save space in my backpack, I wanted to take this because this is kind of a dual purpose notebook. I not only use this for like drafting things sometimes, specifically for writing acrostics, which I've fallen in love with, but I also use it for copying and extracts from things I'm reading. Like for instance, I've been copying in extracts from As We Know. I probably told you that already. And this is definitely not my collecting copy of As We Know. This is like a beater kind of reading copy because you can see the parts of it are falling out. Anyway, you wake up, you write in this, bam. Then you stack the notebooks again, you stagger them like this, and you say, okay, now I've written in that. Now this is what's next up, and this is also something that I'm supposed to just do something small in. And do I have time to work on it? If not, well, I'll try to get to work on it like at lunch or something, if I have to get to work, you know. But if I have time, pick this up. So at this point, this is like a thing where I'm writing in it, and it's third person, and there's literally nothing going on in this, but it's like a free write. And I've divided the page up into these columns. I've divided all the pages up into these columns, and the columns are easy to write down. I'll probably make a whole video about this, but I just think they're easier to write down that way. Once the stack looks like this, I have the satisfaction of knowing that I've like drafted a poem, like for maybe editing or use later, or maybe to mine a song lyric from later or something like that. I have the satisfaction of knowing that I've made a weird long work of free writing that's gonna be fun to read later, a little bit longer and more complex, you know. And I've had the practice of kind of writing and, you know, just writing a little, trying to continue a narrative, which is always a problem for someone like me who has a poor attention span, who, you know, only kind of writes and doesn't even really edit poems and stuff like that. Just someone with writing problems, you know? And now I can focus on this thing. Now, for the rest of the day, you can just pick this up, and as much as you can write in this as you can is good. Like, you might just write in this as much as you wrote in these other two kind of introductory or these preliminary things. Or you might write like 4 pages in it. This is something that is not divided up into, not divided up into columns. It's just like it's just across the page. And I had a lot of fun writing in the first person here. I'm sort of still writing in here. This is all crap, but I think my ideas are sound here. I'm not saying that the writing I'm producing is, I mean, I know that the writing I'm producing is kind of like, this is all just preliminary stuff. I'm just drafting stuff. I hope to like kind of type it up later and see what's there, revise, excise most of it, maybe just burn it all. I don't know. But I think it's an interesting story now. Now that you kind of understand this system, these 2 stacks that I was making, I want to talk about how I came across this notebook and segue into the notebooks that I acquired during this trip. I was at my trusty Walmart, Turkey Creek Walmart, and I found these things, Jot Book. Now you'll notice that this is the same term that Leuchtturm uses for those Jot Book things. like these jot books that made by Leuchtturm, whatever you say. I saw somebody say Trum, and I just don't. It's kind of interesting how those letters get pronounced the other way by that one person. But there are these kind of things that are like really thin, and they have the. This is from a long time ago, so it's full of very embarrassing kind of free writing. But it has these kind of table of contents kind of things. And I've used them for dream diaries too. Like I've used them for kind of dust jacketed dream diaries and non-dust jacketed dream diaries. As they're made now, they're kind of made where they're painted on the side. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but they're like blue. Anyway, you know what a jot book is. But I saw these at Walmart, and they were $1, and I picked them up. I said, oh my gosh, like a jot book? No, they are saddle stitched. They're saddle stitched and lined. So they're gonna be like, here's a nice kind of Pittsburgh. I actually got this off eBay because I loved it so much, and I still haven't used it. But they're saddle stitched like these moleskins. Now, this is the size of moleskin that I typically use for my dream diary. So I was looking at this and I was like, okay, so this is a saddle stitched kind of notebook for $1 that's lined. It's probably gonna be like decent quality. And it's like, it's either gonna be useful as a dream diary or as something like one of these notebooks that I've been free writing fiction in. So because it was just $1, I got it, and I was so excited to get so many. I ended up purchasing 5 of them because I figured, well, that's just $5. And I didn't remember seeing these at my local Walmart. It seemed like it was a special kind of Walmart on my trip kind of thing. Gosh, it's really starting to storm again. It's starting to storm again. It's starting to storm again. We've been having the craziest weather here in Madison. It's been the craziest. We had hail. Oh my gosh, is it more of the hail? More of the hail. Oh, I don't want more of the hail. There was like 2-inch hail, 4-inch hail, golf ball to baseball sized hail. Anyway, I took one of these things home, and because it was just $1, I was like, hey, I can just tear this thing right open and see what's going on. And what was going on was this nice enough paper that's just a little too white, and the lines don't go all the way to the edge, but I do actually like having a margin because the idea is that it kind of leaves you open to like notate and to annotate in the margins, or to like correct things in the margins. Oh my gosh, look at that rain. It's just going crazy. So I was so encouraged, and then I saw online something about like a place in Japan that I'd never thought of before. And you know how Japan's so cozy with all of the islands and everything, and they make our stationery and we're all suckers for it. I kind of just started writing, and I started writing in the first person. Why? I think I might have started writing in the first person because either because of that Yan An poem collection I was reading or something like that. But this became a very cozy place and a very kind of low stakes place to finish up the day writing. And then I would kind of write in this as much as possible. And then at night, I would force myself to make a note in the diary, because I think I was taught by a writing teacher that you should kind of just keep a diary. It's more fun for me personally to write on paper, but I know a lot of people keep Google Doc diaries. But it's kind of nice to keep a record of what happened during the day and practice, saving things from the day that you're going to forget and that are going to feel like little works of art, not giant works of art, but little works of art later on, things that kind of like the stuff that you write in your poem notebook that you can maybe like mine later or edit later or use in some sort of bigger work of art if you ever embark. So yeah, this was a good find, and you can understand kind of why I bought like the whole lot of them from Walmart. And this is just, my dear mom was gonna give this to me for Christmas, but she didn't give it, so she handed it to me there. And it's like a soft cover version of this nice thing. I'm new to these things with the elastic band and the ribbon. And I kind of wanted to see if I could measure up to the challenge of having it. They've got that kind of like kind of dimpled cover. Oh my gosh, this rain's going absolutely crazy. And I have been liking using one. So if you'd have given me this before I'd worked with this thing, I mean, I purchased this. This was like so much money. This cost about as much as a new Honda Civic. And, you know, I know how to use it. I like the ribbons. They come with 2 ribbons. I don't even know what to use the second ribbon for. I'll need like another subject, you know, like those notebooks that have 3 subjects. I've always wanted to buy one of those like 5 subject notebooks and then just like say, okay, this is going to be 5 story drafts. Like you're going to write 5 little Cesar Iron novels in here or something like that. I'm such a crazy person. But one last thing I'll say about this is soft cover, so it's different from this hard cover. I think I'm going to prefer the soft cover probably, because the problem with the hard cover, many people probably talk about this, is that, you know, there's this kind of space here that makes it so when you're writing on this side, you're pressing on air, you know, which feels like you're bending the paper, whereas it might be nicer to have a soft cover that can kind of lay, you know, flat like we all love. So there's this spice brown. It's this spice brown color. I don't know where it says that. Spice brown, 372210, designed in Germany, made in Vietnam. Shout out Vietnam. But I thought that this spice brown color was maybe something that was really rare or something that had been ordered off the internet at great expense. But it was ordered off the internet at great expense. It's just not that rare of a color. So you can get this spice brown. And this lighting right now is really weird, so you're not seeing. It is a little more of a diarrhea brown than you're imagining right now. But if you're into that, as I certainly am, you might like this color of notebook. But I've not used this, as you can see. Like these other ones that I got in the chamber, it is still wrapped in plastic. Well, I hope you all enjoyed another notebook video. The reason I made this is because I noticed that notebook system emerging. Maybe I can make more videos like this in the future anytime I notice a notebook system developing. Or maybe if a notebook system is staying the same and I'm just saying, hey, you know, I'm still having success with this. This is still making writing a pleasure for me, and it's making me feel rewarded for working on this craft. Then I can just share and say, hey, you know, checking in, 30-second video. My notebook system is still the same. But I did notice that with the kind of life stack and the art stack, with the staggered thing, where you kind of rebuild the stack at the end of the night and then like approach it next day and come back to it in this order, I noticed that something weird was developing, and so of course naturally I wanted to tell you all about it, and now I have.